Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for sharing your Saturday with us to learn about zoning and planning and all these fun things that our crew here has planned for you. I will try to make this as entertaining as possible. As you know, I'm the executive director at Heart of City Neighborhoods, and I eat, live, and breathe this stuff. So hopefully I can impart some of that on to you. We're going to get right into the topic. Today we're going to talk about sustainable housing and focus on the characteristics of affordability and land use. I'm going to be a little bit more heavy on affordability because that's what I do on a regular basis. So what is zoning? We're going to try to give a precursor to Jason's talk. Zoning is how the city breaks up the land into different zones, allowing for different uses and activities. That's as simple as can be. Bob might have a different different view, but I want to make it as layman's terms as possible. Another way of thinking of zoning is about choice. Some people, I did a lot of research with the Center for Urban Pedagogy, and they talk about zoning is a choice between public and private. So who gets to live where, how, and why. It has two fundamental components, right? The first one determines where each type of land use, residential, commercial, so where you live, where you work, where you play, what goes together, what doesn't. So do you really want to live next to a funeral home? Do you want to live next to a large entertainment district? You know, these kind of things. It says, you know, why do you want to live here? If you live in residential, it should only be residential. If you live near commercial, it should be that. One of the things that we won't be talking about today, but maybe Jen might touch on, is how zoning gives people a choice and how many folks will wind up living in a place that puts them in an environment that's toxic because they really don't have a choice, but it's where they can afford. It's cheaper. So zoning and other land use regulations have a major effect on housing, whether you know it or not. These regulations govern where housing is built, what type of housing can be built, and it can directly or indirectly affect the cost of developing housing. So when you read the newspaper and you see why there's so many hotels being built, or why there's so many apartments being built, or high-end housing, which seems to be a trend, high-end loft-style housing being built, why is that? What policy is put in place to make that reasonable and affordable for developers, but maybe not reflective of the community at large? And I titled this as sort of veiled discrimination because no one will outrightly say that zoning is against people and it discriminates, but in many cases it's unintended consequences of certain regulations and limit housing choices. Again, like I said before, you are going to decide where you're going to live based upon what's in your pocket. And before you knew that, our antiquated zoning laws in the city of Buffalo particularly, it's already dictated that for you. And it also creates unnecessarily increases the cost of housing. So you'll notice that if you go from one area to another, depending on where you are in Western New York, the costs will continue to change. And reduces opportunities for fair and affordable housing. And I'll give you some descriptions how. So what is affordable housing? A lot of people say affordable housing, you might think of something, you might have an image of what affordable housing is, and I can tell you the secrets behind all the big housing talk. It's a formula. That's all it is. So housing is considered affordable when you are not paying more than 30% of your gross income towards a housing payment, and a housing payment is whatever your rent or mortgage is plus your utilities. That's a housing payment. That's all it is. It's not a project. It's not anything else. It's not low-income housing. It's not any of that. Affordable housing for you, wherever you are in your own lifestyle. Think about what you make on an annual basis. And if you're paying more than 30% of that gross, then it's not affordable to you. And if you look at this, it's funny that they put this image here of a project here. 30% or less of income used for housing. This is a number that shows a lot of folks, when it comes to renting, a lot of our folks who are renting are spending way more than that for a housing payment. And what we wanted to talk about, just look at the comparative of household spending and housing. For rent, 77% of the folks are spending less than 30% on their housing, but then when you look at it for renters, 50% of their income is going towards a house payment or more. And we know in Western New York, folks who are not making tons of money, that makes it very difficult for you to have disposable income for other things, for healthcare, for food, for just quality of life needs. So who needs affordable housing? On a regular day, I income qualify people for the services that we provide. And this is what it is. This is 2014 numbers from HUD. And you're considered at poverty if you are a household of four. We said an average household size of four, and you're making $19,150. So we'll go into that a little bit more, but any of you who have ever worked for AmeriCorps or Service Corps, or any of those wonderful things, you're getting your experience. You have a high school and a college education, and you get less than that. I think you get about $12,000. And, you know, hopefully you don't have any children. It's just you. You're way below the poverty, but we're expecting you to be able to live someplace that's going to give you a good quality of life. You're considered very low income if you're at $31,000 and, you know, household of four, low income $51,100. These numbers might startle a lot of folks because someone can say, well, I kind of make that right now, and does that mean that I'm poor? Well, you can answer that yourself. So we want you to meet Jennifer. This is our makeshift person. She looks groovy in her outfit there. Jennifer just graduated. She got her master's in hand. She's done her graduate assistantship. She's got some experience. She's feeling good about herself. And she decides to work in a nonprofit sector. She decides to work for me, maybe. and we can only offer her $31,950. Remember, that's all we can offer her, even with a master's degree. And I can tell you, after graduating with my master's degree in 2005, I made $10 an hour doing a director of housing. So this is an increase, but she's groovy and we wanted to keep her looking good. So at 30%, this is what she's making. She can only afford, I did the math for you so you don't have to worry about getting out your calculators. She has $9,585 in her hand annually that she can put towards her house payment, right? We break it down because there's 12 months in a year. She has $798 a month for housing. So she's doing good, right? Where can this woman live? By anyone, I'll take some. With $798, she wants to live in Western New York. Where do you think she's gonna go?
She can live on the east side.
She can live on the east side real well. Real well. Where else can she live with $798? Black Rock, West Side. She can live anywhere. She's fancy, right? Okay. Now, so we got single Jennifer. She's got this money. She decides, okay, I can get a one-bedroom apartment in a premier neighborhood. Premier neighborhood is zoned so that you can live, work, and play. You have quality of life. You feel safe. It's clean. It's affordable. She pays $550 a month for the rent. She's got a little bit left over for utilities. She can put some savings. Jennifer's doing good. We decided to give Jennifer some realistic expectations here. So Jennifer, she's a single mom. However she became a single mom, she's a single mom, but she's got a great job. She can get a two-bedroom apartment in the premier neighborhood for $625 a month. And these numbers are not fictional. This is what average rent will cost in a premier neighborhood. Again, a neighborhood that gives you a quality of life. So she's got $625, so she's got about $100 left over for utilities. She might be able to even get cable. Okay, Jennifer now has 3 children. Jennifer has 3 children. She needs a 3-bedroom. According to New York state law, each child has to have their own bedroom. I don't know if people knew that, but that's the reality. So she has to, in her premier neighborhood, because she wants to be in a place where access to schools, she has a good quality of life, it's safe, she's a single mom, she wants to be able to do the best for her kids. The premier neighborhood rent is $725 a month. She's got $798. What's gonna go? Right, yeah. She doesn't get utilities. She hasn't paid her groceries. Cable is out. Hey, we need a new pair of sneakers. You're out. We can pay one or the other. So we gotta, these are the decisions that sometimes zoning can put these situations for you. So we can now say we can put zoning to the rescue because we don't want to make zoning the bad guy. Zoning is out there saying, hey, you keep beating up on me. So we're going to say, listen, there's a way that you can manipulate zoning as a community planner, as someone that's engaged in the community to turn it on your side. And this is called inclusionary zoning. It can add diversity and social value without compromising the quality of the market and appeal of the development. So, one of the ways that you can use this very effective tool, especially as a smart growth tool, is you can bring it into a community wishing to increase affordable housing supply. So a premier neighborhood wants to be able to attract this person with the master's degree, with the job, but she cannot afford to stay there with the 3 children. So how can we do that? We want to make sure that we can include zoning so that she can be able to live in a premier neighborhood and afford it. One of the things that you see here is about a marketplace and how it generates affordable housing, and you want to get away from some of the municipal style of housing. The quality should be affordable. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And here's a good example of how, we know we talk about regional economic development. This is an economic development tool. Everyone gets to win here. You get to have a community full of engaged renters and engaged homeowners, and you get construction money. It doesn't matter if you're low to moderate income. Everyone gets to live in the same neighborhood, and everyone gets to benefit from that. Here's some of the benefits here. It expands housing opportunities. So she doesn't have to make that choice of saying, well, if I want to stay in a premier neighborhood, I can't really afford that, so I'm going to go into another neighborhood where I can afford it, but it doesn't provide any amenities for myself or my child. We want to talk about equity, fair housing. You shouldn't have to make a choice based upon what's in your pocket. You should be able to do what you need to do and be in a neighborhood that supports your quality of living. Increased job and business opportunities. Development is a big business. You cannot go without reading the paper and figuring out everyone is getting into it for a reason, because you can make decent money, but what about the community benefit? We want to make sure that the community is getting what they need. And inclusionary zoning can allow that. Here's some additional benefits. I'm going to quickly go through these slides here. Local partnership and developers, that's where groups like Heart of the City come in. You want to do inclusionary housing. You want to work with a not-for-profit partner that is going to make sure that when you are doing development, it's reflective of the community and the needs of the people, like Jennifer. And I'm going to skip through this because I got, 1 minute? So again, we want to make sure that we have zoning, and then you as an engaged person wants to be at those meetings when we're talking about green code, and when these developments are coming in, you want to be able to say, we want to make sure that there's a provision for affordable housing, because I want to live in this neighborhood, I believe in it, but I want to be able to afford it. I would, my board members would kill me if I didn't do a blurb about what we do, but here it is. You can find out more about us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm going to skip through that. Here's some of our strategic opportunities here at Heart of the City. One of the things that we want to do is provide access to people. What we have done, and what I've really enjoyed doing on a regular basis, is that turning the face on what affordable housing is. When you get into one of our homes, whether it's your first home or it's an apartment, you don't know any different than if you're living, if you're a person that makes $100,000 or you're a person that makes $10,000. That's the kind of quality that we want to be able to bring, and that's the kind of quality that inclusionary zoning can bring to development. So that's what you should be fighting for when you're at these meetings, when you're doing, the community has asked you to stand on their behalf. You want to say, this is the kind of quality housing that we need, and it just so happens to be affordable. So that is my talk, and I will turn it over to Jason, I think.